Just more like knowing like what I think our limit is and like what's acceptable to us, what's not acceptable to us. And
there's just a time that you tell yourself that this has to stop.
right.
You have to stop.
If you don't break that cycle, or if you don't say no now, it's just out of habit. It's just gonna continue.
Yeah, continue.
So what to expect on this podcast? Basically, Mirtle and I talk about basically building your confidence, self-improvement, personal development. And this is just basically a little container for us to Chika, catch up, and chat with you guys.
Just for you to be able to see what the real Maarte life is.
Yeah, super duper Maarte.
Yeah.
But speaking of Maarte, Mirts, I think this is a topic I've been wanting to talk to you about because I mean, I think both of you and I kind of like are starting to learn a little bit more about it, like especially at this age and this time in our life, about boundaries and setting healthy boundaries for ourselves.
I love it.
Before we do so, let's talk a little bit about like, I guess what boundaries or like what personal boundaries are and like why they're important.
Well, I guess it's there just for us to be able to not necessarily build a wall to people, but this is also taking good care of ourselves and the relationship that we have with them.
And within ourselves, actually.
That's correct.
I really like how you kind of said that it's not really us putting a wall or like stopping people, but it's just more like knowing like what I think our limit is and like what's acceptable to us, what's not acceptable to us, and just being, aware like, hey, this is not something, let's say, for example, I value, or this is something that doesn't fit well or suit me or doesn't feel right to me. And you're crossing a boundary. So I think it's really important for people to be like more aware of like what their limit is.
Right. So I love that you mentioned that, so they are aware, just because we want to make sure that we also make them understand,
Right.
Well, sometimes, okay, I don't have to be hypocritical about it. Sometimes they won't understand why you're doing it. For sure.
I agree.
For
They
sure.
don't get it. And
Yeah.
actually people tend to lash out when you say no, or that's not for me.
Yeah, they get their butt hurt most of the time.
I love when you say butt hurt. That's such a you quote. You got to put that on Instagram. Stop getting butt hurt.
Yeah. Well, I feel that too sometimes,
course.
because we have feelings, but
Yeah.
it's better that we try to understand, why is there such thing as boundaries? Okay. So let's just talk about boundaries we set for friends.
Yeah, okay, let's talk about it. Like, I guess an experience, like for me, I don't know about you, but when I let a friend in, like when I get really close to someone, I let them in like all the way. Like I don't, I'm not that kind of person like who, yes, they gradually grow, like the friendship grows and everything, but like when I build that connection like with somebody, like I let them completely into my life.
I
and
actually
everything.
feel that.
Right? And
Yeah.
then it's just, but you think maybe in my head, oh, if I say yes, or if I do more favors, or if I kind of like, bend at their will, we become closer. You know what I mean? So I think there is definitely several relationships or several friendships that I've had an experience where I think maybe they weren't necessarily aware, but they were starting to, I guess, quote unquote, abuse it or kind of like overstep that boundary where like, oh, this girl always, like Carmela always says yes anyway. She'll always like be there for me anyways.
Are they saying that you're a pushover?
Yeah, no, seriously. seriously. Like it came to the point where I was starting to look a little bit, I was being easy, like super duper easy. And then when there was this one situation where it didn't feel right to me, this person, like I won't say names or anything like that,
right.
but there's Mirtle wants to know names. I think I've told you this story.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, okay.
I think
Yeah,
I've
we
told
can
you
share
this
it to
story,
them.
yeah. Okay, I won't say names. I know.
It's not me.
I know, it's not, no, it's definitely Mirtle. No, it's not Mirtle. But Mirtle definitely knows about the story because she was actually like one of the first people who I called up and I said, Mirtle, I think I'm like being used. But basically there was a situation where I kind of just like was just too, I guess, open or too easy with this other person. And she was starting to invite me into situations which were definitely not comfortable with me. She was inviting me to like hang out with people or create videos with people who actually hurt my feelings before. And this person knew about it. And it was just so surprising because before any of that, like this person, like I was always there for her. Him. and basically like I was just always there, and like when that person needed like something from me, I'd be like, yes, like you got it. And then So I was put in a situation where she was like, oh, let's hang out with, this group of people. But he clearly knew that I was really uncomfortable with these people. Like, they did not treat me well. And I just had to, just say no. But then it's just so funny because like, then there was no more conversation after that. And then
it became awkward.
It became awkward and kind of cold. And then cold in the sense that she called me cold. And I was just like, I'm not cold. Just because I said no to a certain... I mean, it's like, I didn't even think any differently about this person. I just had to just say no for that particular situation because it didn't feel safe. It didn't feel right to me. I just kind of went with my own kind of gut feeling. And I was like, no, that's kind of like, hey, if you want to hang out with those people, that's perfectly fine. But this is my that's my boundary. Like, that's it.
And you are already open to your feelings towards these people that you're not comfortable with them. Right?
Exactly. So that was one of like the situations I kind of felt like I just found it kind of strange that this person knew that I was uncomfortable with these people, but she was like, no, come. And that's when I was like,
yeah, and I don't think you're wrong for saying no because you're not comfortable.
Boundary. Exactly. Yeah, that's my boundary.
It's just very simple. Just because you're not comfortable with them.
Yeah.
And you're not stopping her to be friends with these people as well.
Exactly. I just said I knew like where my line draws. Like I knew where like, okay, like I already knew that person was already friends with them. And I was like, that's perfectly fine. Like, I'm not here to stop you from being friends with like anyone you want to be friends with, but that's where I'm stopping. And just because I said no, like I knew my boundary and I was like, that's where I said no. Then she started saying like, hey, you're being really mean. You're kind of rude and things. And I was like, what? I just said, I was like, I just said no to this one particular situation.
Okay. Mind you guys, Carmela she's very, very nice. Not just because she's my partner. Okay. She is really, sometimes I get like shy if she's offering me to do, like she's offering things for me. I get shy because she's just really that nice,
You're very nice. You're
remember when I left my purse here and then you drove me to my unit, my building, and then I told you I left my purse, and then you went back here and you drove back to my unit. So it's super nice of you.
Marlo, but that's your wallet.
I know, but it's super nice of you to like do that extra effort. So that's what I'm just saying. My point is like you're already too nice. Okay, you're already too nice.
And that's the thing. Like when I let someone in, I really do let that person. Like for example, you, because I completely trust you. I know you and everything like that. But I think that's a lesson that I also kind of like need to learn, just to be a little bit more, I guess, discerning and a little bit more like, I guess, careful because I've known you for so long. I know who you are and getting to know you deeper. This person was like relatively new to my life and it just happened so quickly. Right. And I was just like, oh, like I actually didn't give it the time. I didn't give it the time to actually like, I guess really grow or really get to know the person, and things were starting to like be pushed to the limit. And I was like, okay, I had to learn kind of, I guess, the hard way because, like exactly what you said, she got butthurt when I said no. And then after that, like,
because they got used to
all the yes.
All the yes, correct. Yes.
What about you? Let's hear some of your boundaries.
Okay, I can share you when I was still working in a corporate world, corporate setting. So there's this, I was new to this role, all right, and then there's this one lady who is basically she just have this proactivity.
I'm gonna stalk her now on Facebook. I'm gonna go like lady.
She has this proactivity wherein she wanted to mentor somebody. So I guess because I'm new, I am new here, so she proactively wanted to mentor me. Right. Yeah. So every time I log in, I go to my desk and she would be like, hi, good morning, Mirtle. Yeah. You see this emailed you and she and then this guy and this guy and this boss sent you an email. Do you want to reply? And at first I was like, I thought she's just being very helpful because I'm new. Right. Like everything I do, she's there to assist me. I appreciate it. Sure. Right. But every morning, even before I log in, timestamp in my computer, she would be like, Mirtle, let's say Carmela sent you an email. Did you read it already? You have to answer and do this and that. And I was like, just one day, I was like standing like in front of my computer and I'm like literally just like this, my face.
Staring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
One sec. I'll get to it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like just let me log in.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, you're not my boss. Yeah. There goes my pride.
Yeah, no. I love it.
you're not my boss.
Yeah.
But okay. And then after that, I just keep on saying okay to her, but I'm not really like minding what she's saying. You know, I know probably she has the best intention, but you know what? I think she just wanted to micromanage me just because I found out. Okay, I found out. I just want to make the story, tell you everything about it. But that's what happened. She just wanted to micromanage me, and because she wanted to shine.
Oh.
Not because she really wanted to help me.
Okay, so she was kind of just like using that as kind of like somewhat way for her to elevate, kind of like elevate herself.
Correct.
Okay.
So when I just keep on saying yes to her and I stop really like following her directives, right? Because I go straight to my boss.
Yeah.
Like that's where I report, not to you.
Not to her, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And she got her butt hurt when I stopped when I was submitting to her.
Yeah.
She went into my boss and she's like, Myrtle is being so disrespectful. I'm sorry. I'm being
No. And you know what's so crazy? Like, Myrtle is so hard. That's so crazy for her to be like, oh, she's not doing anything. She's so rude. She's not like submitting everything on time. Myrtle submits everything on time. Like, you should see her chat group and everything. Like, she likes things done. Like, when Myrtle's on, like, you know what I mean? Like, when you're switched on, like, you're like, let's go.
Oh yeah, it has to be work mode on,
yeah,
right?
when she's on work mode, like you go hard.
And there are times that I also go bitchy. I'm guilty of that. But this time, right? This is the only time I said no, and then she went into my boss, and I am disrespectful. And then you know what she did? You know what? I'm just gonna resign.
Like, why?
Sorry,
what happened? What?
She said, I'm just gonna resign. Just because I'm not saying yes to you, you're gonna resign. So you are a drama queen.
Yeah, wow.
I'm sorry I'm being mean right now, but yeah, that happened.
Oh my gosh, what a drama mama.
There's just a lot of things going on.
Yeah,
with her.
But good for you to just kind of like stand up and be like, no, let me.
Yeah, I was nice to her because I appreciate all she did for me because I was just new. But then again, this is just too much because I think you're kind of using me already.
Yeah,
right?
okay. So you're kind of just like her pedestal, like just so she can show her bosses like, hey, I'm working, I'm commanding this girl, I'm getting the job done by making sure you get the job done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's so crazy. Yeah, like, and that's so cool. Like, how boundaries are so useful, not just in like friendships and relationships, but also like in your actual like work life as well.
But you know what I've learned? I could have handled that better. You know, I could have talked to her properly and then just tell her or ask her, you know, that I shouldn't be like, I don't know. I just have to talk to her. I feel that if I would have gone back to that situation, I could have done better. Yeah, that's I mean,
are these things that you're supposed to be pep talking with your? What was she, like a manager? No, she wasn't.
She's not. We're just the same.
Yeah. Oh, like your coworker.
Yeah.
Like, are you? Oh, well, I guess maybe for coworker to coworker because you're still at that same level. Like, yeah.
I've become like parang pinatulan ko din. Like, how do I say that?
How do you translate that?
So like, we're just gonna translate.
Yeah, we'll translate. But I know what you mean. But like, but like, good for you for like just like standing up for yourself and just being like, hey, you're kind of being too. I don't want to say bossy, but I guess too controlling, maybe.
Controlling.
Maybe controlling is the right word. And
if she really wanted to mentor me, then she could have like talked to my boss and I wanted to be in this position maybe because I wanted to step up.
Right.
You know.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. No, and I think boundaries, guys, is basically you. Yeah, I feel like setting boundaries is like probably like one of the greatest, like one of the ways for you to show love towards yourself because you know, like, when you start feeling a little antsy, when you start feeling that, you know, that tension within you, some people do not acknowledge it and they kind of just give in, like, you know, especially I think this goes a lot for like peer pressure, right? Peer pressure is like a really big one, like where you know that person, like, you know, that, let's say, that group of people or the activity that's going on is not gonna benefit you, can possibly hurt you, but maybe because you just want to be a people pleaser. There you go. I think people pleasing.
Right? Just because you wanted to be part, you wanted to be in.
Exactly. Yeah. Or you want to look good or not have like bad rep on yourself. You just say yes. Without really putting yourself first. You put all the external factors first, and then you kind of like, you know, let yourself just I don't want to say suffer. You could if the situation's really bad, but you kind of put yourself in a dilemma where it's like not comfortable for you, you know. And I think it's so important for people to actually like be in tune with their intuition. I think is a good word. Intuition. Be like, hey, you know, they can like check themselves and be like, hey, is this gonna benefit me? Is this gonna help me? is this going to serve me, or is this going to pull me down, or are these people going to hurt, like, are these people going to use me or pull me down?
I like when you mentioned earlier that you want to follow your gut feeling, because it's true.
It is.
Yeah, it will save you.
Yeah, no, seriously. You know what? I've been talking to you about this book, Sapiens, like all the time.
Yeah. So but after you, I will read it.
Yeah, no, it's really good, because actually, like, it's built into our system. Like, we have a really old brain, okay, which has, and people, or sapiens people back then, like millions of years ago, they didn't have technology, they didn't have any of like the gadgets that we have, or any sort of connections that we have like with everybody now. Before, or information rather, people had to rely on intuition and gut feeling to survive, meaning like, if they had to know if this is the right berry to eat, or is it poisonous, like where is the best place to know. Yeah, exactly. So they developed that skill of learning, like, hey, you know, to follow my intuition, like, is this gonna hurt me? Is this a safe place to go to? Is this my tribe? Right? So that's all intuition. There you go. So that's kind of like built into us. So it is really important to kind of tap into that and be like, hey, is this safe for me? Because at the end of the day,
it's like a radar, right? Built-in radar to your body.
Exactly. Like it's saying like, hey, that's not safe. Let's, you know, bring it back. But some people kind of like, but I guess people have kind of lost that kind of connection with their intuition. So it's kind of important. I'm trying to be more aware,
because there are a lot of things that surrounds you that affects your decision making. So that's why your inner self
so much influence. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people also want to know about boundaries in relationships.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's a big one, because I feel like, because when you're in a relationship, that's when you let yourself open, like you open yourself completely.
Oh yeah, you're so vulnerable.
I love that word. I love that word. That word vulnerable. Like I think people should be a little bit more vulnerable. Vulnerable in the sense that, you know, knowing who they are, knowing their limits. But yeah, talk to me about vulnerable. Like, so in being in a relationship, you're more vulnerable.
Oh, big time. I am, right? Because I open myself to that person, that significant other, and you show your weakness to them. And it's a fact that we might show these emotions, everything about ourselves. Right. We open, and then there are just people that are
We're just exposing ourselves. Literally exposing it all.
And there are just people, I guess, who are not worthy of those, or they don't value that, right? They don't value.
Yeah.
So they tend to abuse you. Yeah. The same as friendship, I guess. Yeah. It's the same as friendship.
I agree.
Yeah, they tend to abuse you. I've been in that relationship where I admittedly love the person, right? It's just that it's not okay all the time what's happening, and you keep on going back, and you know that you're gonna keep on hurting yourself. Yourself.
Yeah. First yourself, and then it eventually reflects back.
Both of you. Yeah. And then you just keep on coming back, right? And that's not good for you, because you already know, your mind knows, your body knows, but I don't know why, just because you are vulnerable.
Right, exactly.
So, but there's just a time that you tell yourself that this has to stop.
Right.
You have to stop. And then you're the only person, let's say you would tell me, like, Mirtle, you already know, because you can see it from the outside. Right? So you can tell me everything. I would know it.
It's so easy from a third person perspective, right?
I would know it. I know it, but it's just one day you'll realize, you wake up because you follow your instinct that this has to stop, because you have to protect yourself.
Exactly. And I think that that's so true, because if you don't set that boundary, the behavior, humans are very habitual creatures, right? If you don't break that cycle, or if you don't say no now, it's just out of habit. It's just gonna continue. And then in our heads, we think, oh no, he's gonna get, or he or she is gonna get better. He's right. We love to give that excuse. Like, we love to give benefit of the doubt, like saying like, oh no, he's gonna get better, she's gonna get better.
I know everybody can relate to it.
Yeah,
I've gone through it. You've gone through it.
I've gone through it. Right.
For sure.
I'm sure you guys know the feeling where we love to give that excuse of like saying, oh, he or she's gonna get better, or even me, I'm gonna get better. But do you? Yeah, and that's the thing. You yourself also know, like, hey, are you the one being toxic?
Yeah.
You know, are you the one being toxic? Can you put some boundaries on your toxicity and be like, you
self-assess.
You self-assess. So that's I think that's the beauty about like boundaries. It's not only just to protect you from others, but it's also protecting others from maybe something that you have which you're not really aware of. You know what I mean?
What is that song from Dua Lipa?
Which one?
Wait, I've got no rules. What's that?
Then the new rules, new rules or something like that.
What's that? Like,
got new rules.
Yeah. You know, we're gonna wake up in his bed in the morning.
That's the one.
Right.
We'll put on.
But you know, maybe we will have an episode about that specifically, right?
Let us know if you guys want to hear about it.
Yeah, because I think people can relate to it, and totally, I think if we're gonna focus on just boundaries and relationship,
we can go on forever.
Yeah, I know. I know.
It's not enough. It's not enough for this one episode. You guys are gonna be like, oh my gosh, just tell us everything. But yeah, I think with all that being said, I think just to wrap up this conversation about setting boundaries, I think it's so important, for me at least, for people to be more in tune with their intuition, meaning like, oh, this feels good to me or it doesn't feel good to me.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's really important. And of course,
you can assess the situation. We are human beings. We have brains, right? Yeah, and we would definitely can try to check out the pros and cons.
Right, exactly.
So, and your intuition,
right,
and you measure, and then I guess that would help you.
Yeah,
also.
And then from there, it's a lot more easy for you to come up with a decision, whether you know that, oh, the situation or this group of people or whatever is happening is right for you or if it's not. So I think that's really important. So with all that being said, my name is Carmela.
And I am Mirtle.
And thank you for tuning to
the Maarte Life Podcast.